Hi everyone. Welcome back to live stream session for CodeCraft 2026 Programming Paradigms and Practices Part 2. In part first, we discussed about basics of programming, what is structure-oriented programming, and how we can install VS Code as well as the basics of programming team able to demonstrate using C and Python, as well as we demonstrate the advantages of C and the advantages of Python over C. Such kind of basic programming sessions we had discussions on part 1. Because of time limits, we divide this entire live stream session in 2 parts. In today's presentations, we'll be continuing with the rest remaining topics where we left in the part 1. I'll again reiterate the motive of these sessions is to team should get an opportunity to present themselves and get adequate with the programming practice and coding techniques instead of exploring conceptualizations. That understandings of conceptualizations we try to convert it into the applications, and it will really help everyone to explore and establish a good career in the software. Over to Team Axiom. Continue with the live stream session for CodeCraft 2026 Part 2. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our live session part 2. In the previous section, we have successfully completed part 1 where we have discussed topics like VS Code debugging techniques, Python versus C advantages, structure-oriented programming, data types. Today, we are going to continue with part 2. In this session, we will cover loops, string manipulation, function deep dive, array completion kind, compiler fundamentals, and programming paradigms in C or Python. These topics will help you to understand programming concept more deeply and improve your coding skills. So let's begin part 2 of our live demonstration. So first, I'm going to demonstrate about the loops. A loop is a programming structure that executes a set of statements repeatedly while a condition is true. Loops are very useful when we want to perform the same task multiple times without writing the same code again and again. For example, if we want to print number from 1 to 10, instead of writing 10 print statement, we use a loop. These There are mainly three common types of loop: while loop, do while loop, for loop. First is the while loop. A while loop repeatedly executes a block of code as long as the given condition remains true. In this loop, the condition is checked before the loop body executes. This means if the condition is false at the beginning, the loop will not run even once. Second is do while loop. Do while loop executes the first and checks the condition afterwards. This means the loop body runs at least one time, even if the condition is false. Third is the for loop. For loop is used when we know in advance that how many times the loop should execute. It is commonly used for repetitions. A loop contains three parts: initialization, condition, and increment. Over to my team member.
Hello everyone. Today I am going to explain the working of nested loop pattern printing. Now, let us understand nested loop. So, nested loop is a loop that is placed inside another loop. The inner loop runs completely every time the outer loop runs. So, there are two types of loops involved. First is outer loop, and then second is inner loop. The outer loop control the number of rows, and the inner loop control how many elements are printed in each row. Now, let us see an example of pattern printing in C. Include studio.h. So this is the header file. It provides functions like printf and scanf for input and output. Int main. After that, this is the main function and the program execution start from her and int ij, and there are integer variables used for controlling the loops. For I is equal to 1, I less than 4, I plus plus. So the program start from outer loop. These loops control the number of rows. So the pattern will have row 4 rows. For I is equal to 1, j less than j plus plus. After that, there is inbuilt inner loop which print start in each row according to number. Printf and print slash n. After that, we have printf and printf slash n which print now star symbol and move the cursor the next line after each row. Return 0 end of program. So there is our output which hereby shows the pattern of printing. Now I will hand over to my team member will be continue the demonstration.
Now, I'm going to explain string handling in C programming language and Python, and how both languages handle string differently. So, a string is a sequence of characters used to store text such as names, sentence. Although both languages work with string, their internal handling is very different because C is a low-level language while Python is a high-level language. In C, strings are treated as character array. That means each character is stored separately in memory, and the string ends with a special null character written as /0. In Python, string treated as Boolean object. This means Python essentially manages the string, its length, and memory automatically. This does not need /0 at the ending. Let us understand the key difference. So, first is basic concept. In C, a string is stored as an array of character and always end with the null character written as /0. The null character tells the program where the string ends. In Python, strings are Boolean objects, so there is no need for a null character because Python manages string length automatically. Second is library requirement. In C, many string operations require the header file string.h. Functions like strlen, stcpy, string cat, and cmp are used for string handling. In Python, no extra library is required because string methods are already built into the language. Third is memory management. In C, the programming must manage memory manually by declaring the size of the character array before storing the string. In Python, memory is handled automatically, so the programmer does not need to worry about the allocation. Fourth is mutability. C strings can be modified directly, meaning characters inside the string can be changed. Python strings are immutable, which means once a string is created, its characters cannot be changed directly. Fifth is syntax. C is more complex because it involves array pointers and library functions. Python syntax is similar and easier to read. Sixth is built-in functions. C provides limited string functions through the library, while Python provides many built-in methods such as len, replace, split, and join. Let's see the program in C and Python to validate the email. Uh, as you can see, here we are having a header file stdio.h, and here we are having a string main function character email. As we are entering in character, that's why we have taken the char email. Here we are getting email to be entered, so it will store in the email. Then if stchr email at the rate and stchr email dot uh, checks whether the at the rate present in the string or not, and here it will checks whether the dot is present in the string or not. If the at the rate and the dot is found, then it will return the address. Otherwise, if not found, it will return the null. Let's run this program. Yeah, here as I am entering Axiom at the rate gmail.com, it is returning valid email because we have entered at the rate as well as dot. Now again we will run this and run only Axiom.com. It has written that invalid email because the at the rate and the dot is not present. Let's see the same example in the Python. Now in the Python, as you can see, we have taken the input from the user and it is storing in the email, and again it will check whether the at the rate and the dot is present in the program or not. As you can see, I have entered Axiom at the rate gmail.com. Here, at the rate and the Gmail is dot is present. That's why it says return the valid email. Now, hand over to my teammate.
Uh, so, good afternoon, everyone. So, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm going to present a logic on string operation in programming. So, the definition goes like strings are used to store and manipulate text data such as names, messages, and sentence in a program. In in programming language like C, different operation can be performed on string to process text easily. Now, let us see an example of string operation in C. So, the first example is to find the length of a string. We will move on to the program now. In this program, we first include studio.h and string.h header files that so that we create a string called str which stores hello. The function string length is used to calculate the number of characters in the string. Finally, the program prints the length of the string, which is 5. As you can see the output, it produces 5. Now we are gonna look up string concatenation. Firstly, we include. Let me run the code first. Yeah. Firstly, we include studio.h header file. Next, we include string.h file, which contains string handling functions such as string length and string comparison. So now we will be selecting an array named string1 or str1, which we have given the size 20, and str2. So now we will be combining the two. So now we will be combining the two characters, hello as well as the word string of the end of at the end of the string, so that string one becomes hello world. So that's why our own output looks like hello world, not just simply hello as in separate word. As you can see, the output, the hello and word are combined together in a string and stored in string one. Now we want to look into comparison, string comparison. String. Firstly, we include yeah. Firstly, we include the header file studio.h, which is a next. Sorry, next we include string.h header file. A flu. This is int main, which hardly is the main function. Also, the execution of the program include that we have car string variable named as string1, which stores the word apple. Then we have string variable number two, which also stores the apple. We will now compare the both the strings, where the strings are equal or not. To compare this, we use an if statement. So if string one and string two are equal, is equal to 0, then the print will be string one is the string one and string one both are equal, else just both are not equal. Okay. That will be from our own side. And now I would like to hand over the presentation to the next team. Thank you very much.
So, hello everyone. Today our team will be presenting on the topic functions and arrays. First, let us understand what is function. Function is a block of code that performs a specific task. It is written once and can be used many times in a program. A function is a small program inside a program that does a particular job. Like if you want to add two numbers many times in a program, instead of writing it again and again, the same code, we can create a function for addition and call it whenever we need in it program. Now let us see why the function are used in a program. Functions are used in a program because they reduce the repetition of code. Functions can make the program easier to manage, help to debug errors easily, to reduce the program complexity. Then we can also see some advantages of function on the screen, like code reusability. We can use the same function multiple times in a program. Then save time and efforts, like program do not need to write the same code repeatedly. Easy to debug, find the errors and solve it easily because every function has its particular specific job. Then my second topic is what is multidimensional array. So we can see on the screen multidimensional array. A multidimensional array is an array that has more than one dimension, such as rows and columns. It is an array which contains other arrays inside it. It is used to store the data in a table and matrix form. We can see the example on the screen. I arrange the numbers 1 to 9 in 3 rows and 3 columns in the format of table and rows, columns and rows. There are two types of multidimensional array, such as two-dimensional array as well as three-dimensional array. Like two-dimensional array stores the data in rows and columns format, such as three-dimensional array stores the data into multiple layers. Then the next topic is demonstrated by my next teammate.
All right. So my topic is call by value and call by reference. As the formal definition suggests, call by value is the method of passing arguments to a function where a copy of actual value of an argument is passed into the function's normal parameter. And when it comes to call by reference, it is the method of passing a function argument that allows a function to modify its original variable in a caller scope. Now I know that formal definition would be might confusing for variety of the people. So I got an example from you. Let's say there's a one guy who got a document needs to be secured. So basically he just make a copy of the document. Now there are two documents and he decides to hand over one of the copy of the document to its friend. So basically if the friend modifies that another version of document, so the original version which is this our guy will definitely remain safe and definitely remain unmodified. So basically, this is the example of call by value. And when it comes to call by reference, you need to understand that the guy has given his address to his friends. So now the friend can come into his house and modify the document. So this is the example of call by reference. So here are a couple of difference that can be seen into the screen. Like the value passes first. In this method, the value of the variable is passed to a function, whereas in call by reference, the reference of the variable is passed. Then there are tons of scope of changes. The original value remain unchanged even if we make changes in the function. While in call by reference, the changes are being reflected into the original variable. Now you need to now here is one of the example where we have using call by value function and where the step function doesn't work. So basically we start with the include stdio.h, then we set to variable x is equal to 5, y is equal to 10. Then we give printf command and then we use call function that is swap x and y. Then you can see parameter a copy 5, parameter b copy 10 and set b is equal to 5, a is equal to 10. But here is one disclaimer that says that change disappear when the function ends. So basically our output remains the same and nothing happens. Here are a couple of things that why it is not working properly. So you could read these things into the screen. So basically here is another example of call by reference where you are using SAP using pointer. So basically we start the program, we initiate x is equal to 5, y is equal to 10, then the print command is given and we use then swap function. So basically here we are giving the addresses as you all can see star a is equal to star b and star b is equal to 10. Now after that the command has been successfully executed and our program has successfully worked. So now here you need to understand that the program has been successfully worked. Now we need to understand that C and Python are two different languages. So in Python there exists a similar function which exists into the form of mutable objects and immutable objects. So basically the object whose inner state or value can be changed after it is created. So it is a mutable object. As you can see numbers, int, text, str. So this could be changed. Now immutable objects. The object whose state or value cannot be modified after it is created. So they are immutable object. Like example list, dictionaries. Now here is one of the example we are using call by reference or you can say immutable objects in Python. So here we start the program x is equal to 5, then call function is being used where n is equal to 100 and then return for the function where x is still 5. Now we will do some coding part. So basically we will be relying on the VS Code. VS Code is very one of the reliable software which we use. So as you can see, the file name has been 1.c. So since it is a C file, the language has been C. So we need to understand that the extension of the file must end with .c. So here include stdio being used, then white swap function int a and b is used, and then 10th variable is created, and then x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 5 has been given. Now we will run this code. So as you all can see, the before and after commands have been there, and it is well, you can see the before x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 10, but after it is still remain unchanged. So y program we just discussed that y swap function is not working. Now we'll go to 2.c. So basically here is also similar thing is happening. So as you can see, white swap has been using, but here we are relying on the addresses. So here similar things, x is equal to 5, y is equal to 10, and when we run the program, so as you can see, the value has been modified. So before x is equal to 5 and after the value has been swapped, so our program is working properly. Now we'll go to Python file. So that is 3py. Now when it comes to Python file, we need to understand that the extension of the file must end with .py. So here the similar things have been used. Def change number, that is n, then n is equal to 100, x is equal to 5, and then when we run the program, so here it is unchanged. Now we'll go to 4py, and here you can see my list append.99, and then my numbers are 1 comma 2 comma 3, and when we run the program, so it got changes. So this is from my side. Now my another teammate will explain you further topics.
Hello everyone. Today I am going to explain three important recursion with stack visualization concept in C programming. First is a factorial using recursion. Second is Fibonacci series using recursion. Third is stack overflow using infinite recursion. First let's understand recursion. Recursion means a function calling itself solve a problem. A recursion function must have stopping condition called a base case. Otherwise, the function will run forever. Now let's move the factorial using recursion. Factorial using recursion is method of calculating the factorial of a number where a function calls itself repeatedly until reaches a base condition. For example, factorial is 5 is 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. The factorial number is 120. So if is a user enter 5, the function call happens like this. Factorial of a 5 calls factor of a 4 and factor 4 calls factorial of a 3, and this continues the factorial of a 1. Then the value return back and we get final result which is 120. Now let's discuss the second is Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series is using recursion is a method where each main number is the series is calculated by adding the previous two number and then function call itself to compute those values. For example, formula is a Fibonacci series f bracket n bracket is equal to 5 bracket n minus 1 plus f bracket n minus 2. Like now example, Fibonacci series of for n is equal to 6. Now Fibonacci series is 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 5. Now let's discuss third concept, which is stack overflow using infinite recursion. Stack overflow using infinite recursion occur when a function keep calling itself without a stopping condition. Each function calls using stack memory. The stack because full and the program crashes. However, there is a no stopping condition because of the function help calling itself again and again. Every function call is stored in stack memory. This is error is called as stack overflow. Example: infinite number of calling are stored and stack is full. Now let's discuss the program. Now is this is a first is a this program is calculated by factorial of a number using recursion. This header file this header file is used to input and output function like printf and scanf. Where here is define a user defined function named factorial function which takes an integer parameter n and return an integer value. Now then a recursion function is used integer factorial integer n, then int main function bracket int main printf the enter number, and then scanner percentage d num print the factorial function return 0. Now I am program run, enter enter the number 5. This factorial number is 120. Then I explain the program is Fibonacci series. This program is calculated Fibonacci series of a number using recursion. This header file is used for input and output function is printf and scanf. Recursion Fibonacci function are used, and integer Fibonacci series int n is a recursion Fibonacci function. Bracket if n is equal to 0 to return 0, then if n is equal to 1 return uh, recursion of a Fibonacci series. Fibonacci bracket n minus 1 plus Fibonacci n minus 2. Then int main function are used. Int n printf the integer number of term scanf. Print Fibonacci series for integer I is equal to 0, 1. I is equal to this are for loop are used, then return 0. Now I run this code, enter number of a term 6. Now this Fibonacci series are 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 5. Now next is a um, explain this. Hashtag include hashtag average is a header file. Void function are used. Void function is infinite. Infinite is a print the calling, and infinite number of no stopping condition are used. Int main infinite is a return 0. Now I am run this code. Is a infinite number of calling are this function. Now let's understand. Now understand this array. An array is a collection of element of the same data type stored in continuous memory location. It allows us to store multiple values using single variable name. Now let's understand 1D array. Or 1D array means one dimensional array. It store data in single row like list. For example, if we write int array is a 5, int main the array can store 5 integer value number starting from 0. So array 0 is the first First element and array is a 4. The last element 1D array and commonly used to store marks, number or any list or value. 1D array is means the collection of elements store the element in location. Now let's move to 2D array. A 2D array means two-dimensional array. It stores data in row and column like table or matrix. Logic flow is start to create two array. Outer loop is a row and inner loop is a column. Store value, print, print and matrix and end. Now, that's all from my side regarding the explanation of a factorial Fibonacci series and Stack Overflow using recursion. I hope the concept and working of this program clear. Now I would like to hand over the presentation my next teammate.
Good afternoon everyone. Today I am going to explain two important searching algorithms used in programming: linear search and binary search. First, let's understand linear search. Linear search is the simplest searching techniques. In the method, the program checks each element of array one by one until the required element is found. List end. For example, if you want to find a number in an array, the algorithm will start from the first element and continue checking the each element sequentially. Now let us look at the binary search. Binary search works if differently. Instead of checking every element, it divides the array into the levels repeatedly to find the required element. But binary search has one important condition: the array must be sorted before the applying binary search. Because of this method of dividing the array, binary search is much faster than the linear search efficiently when works with the large data sets. Now, let us see the comparison of steps required the final element in an array. In the example, we are trying to find the number of 50. First, let us look the linear search. Linear search checks the elements sequentially. Step 1, it checks the 10, not found. Step 2, it checks the 20, not found. Step 3, it checks the 30, not found. 40, not found. Finally, it checks the 50 and the element is found. So linear search took 5 steps to find the element. Now let us see the binary search. Step 1, algorithm checks the middle element, which is 40. Since 50 is the greater than the 40, it searches the right half. Step 2, now it checks 60. Since 50 is smaller than 60, it moves to the left side. Then step 3, it checks the 50 and left is the found. So binary search found the element only the 3 steps instead of 5. This is clearly shows the binary search and more efficient than the linear search for large areas. Now, ASCII art. Now let us understand the ASCII art. ASCII art is the way of the creating pictures and design using keywords characters such as letters, numbers, and symbols. Instead of using images or graphics, we creative visual designs latest characters. This technique is often used in programming demonstration, terminal output, and simple animations. For example, we can display the linear search and binary search serialized format using. Now I'm demonstrating the code in VS. This program visualize a bubble shot using ASCII bars where each element is represented by the star characters and the program is processed using a slip a stimulate. Here we use a UNI study .h. This is a library. This library used for the system function. Here we can use a simple functions slip. This slip pause the program for a seconds so shorting looks like an animation. Next we use a bar void parent bars. This is the function. This function will display the array as a bar using a star. Now we use a printf %d2 slash array j. Print the numbers on of array. 2d prints the integer within spacing. Now we use Bubble sort function, void bubble sort is perform the bubble sort. It sort the array step by step. Here the conditions. Here we use a nested loop, two loops, for loop and for loop. Print bar array of n. Calls the function display the current array as an ASCII bars. Then we use a sleep for 1 second, stop the program for 1 second in the then the create a visual animation effect. Here we use this is the logic in this functions. It checks the store the value in temporary array of j equals to array of uh, j plus 1. Move the next element of the positions. In this function there is a three goes positions. Now I am run the program. Here we can see the animation and the bubble shot. Here we can see the time complexity in the bubble shot. Now we move to the next example, linear and binary search. Here we again use a library Unicid UNISTDH. This library used for the system function. Now we use the same function but different logic. First void function print array, then void bubble short. This is the logic of this code. Then we use a next function linear search. Here we already use a logic. Then last we call these functions. Now we run this program. Here we can see the animation of this program out. Here we can see the sorted array. Now we can search the linear search. If I want to find a 50, it checks with animation. So we check the time complexity, linear search, and the position at found 5. In today's session, we covered the concept of function and arrays. The topic were explained in detail and practical demonstration was also conducted to show how a functions and array work in programming. With this, our part, the session is complete. I would now like to hand over the session of the next team who will be continued with the topic Python versus C advantages and also demonstrate VS Code dubbing and techniques.
Today, our team will be presenting the topic compiler fundamentals and then programming paradigms. So the first topic is about what is a compiler. A compiler is a software program that converts source code written in a high-level programming language into machine code so that the computer can understand and execute it. Basically, a compiler is like a translator. Programmers write program in high-level language, but what the compiler does and understand is only the machine language. So the compiler converts that program into the machine code and also check for the error so that the computer can run the program. Next, we'll see the compilation process flow. So the very first step in the compilation process flow is the source code. Source code is the program which is written by a programmer using a programming language like C or Python. It is saved with extensions like .c for C programs or .py for Python programs. Next is preprocessing. In this stage, the preprocessor prepares the code before actual compilation. It removes comments and includes header file like hashtag studio.h. The third step is compilation. In this stage, the compiler checks the program for syntax error such as missing semicolons, wrong keywords, or incorrect statements. The compiler will display the error messages so that the programmer can correct them. The fourth step is assembly. Assembly code here means a type of low level code that computers can understand more easily than high level languages. It is converted into machine code so that the computer can execute it. Our fifth step is object code. After assembly, we get the object code. Basically, object code is a machine level file that contains the translated version of the program. This file has extensions like .obj for object. Our next step is linking. Here, the linker combines the object file with required binary files. Take for example, if the program uses printf, the linker will connect that program with library that will contains the code for printf. Our last step is executable file. This is the final stage. After linking is completed, the system creates the final executable file. In Windows, this file usually has extension like .exe. This is the final program that user can run. When we run this file, the computer will create the machine code and produces the output. So this is about the compilation process flow. That's all from my side. Now I'll hand over the next topic to my team member.
Now I will explain compilation process in C with an example. Firstly, we have to understand C program cannot run directly on computer. So there are the four steps to run the C program. First, pre-processing, second, compilation, third, assembly, and fourth is linking. In the first step, preprocessor process the code. In the second step, compiler convert the preprocessor code into assembly code. In the third step, assembler convert the assembly code into object code. In the final step, linker combines the object file with required libraries. Let me show you the example in C. This is a simple C program that print welcome to Axiom. We have to open the terminal to run the program. First, we run this pre-processing command in the terminal. Here you can see program.i file has been created. Next, we run the compilation command. We can see the program.s file has been created. Now we run the assembly command. Here we can see the object file has been created. Next, we run the linking command. Here you can see the executable file has been created. Finally, we run the program for output using this command /program. Here you can see the output welcome to exam has been displayed. Now my teammate will continue the next topic.
Today I am going to talk about programming paradigms in C versus Python. First of all, programming paradigms means different ways or styling of writing computer programs. They help programmers organize and solve problems in different methods. In today's session, I will explain two important points. First, I will talk about structure-oriented features in C. Then, I will explain comparison of data security and code reusability between C and Python. So, let's start with the first point, which is structure-oriented features in C. First of all, structure-oriented programming means organizing a program in a clear and systematic way. In C language, large programs are divided into smaller parts called functions, which makes the programs easy to understand and manage. So, there are some important structure-oriented features in C. Let me explain them one by one. First feature is function. The function helps divide a large program into smaller modules and each function performs a specific task which makes the program more organized and reusable. Now let's move to the second feature which is the top-down approach. In top-down approach, a large problem is divided into smaller tasks. Now let me show a simple program to understand to top-down approach in C. In this program, the main function calls the three functions. First is input, which is used to take input from the user. The second is process, which performs the required calculation. And third is output, which is display the result. Now, I will run this program to show how it works. As you can see, the first is input function runs, then the process functions, and finally the output function display the result. Now I will explain the third feature which is control structure. The control structure the control structure are used to control the flow of execution of a program. They decide which statement will execute and how many times it will execute. Control structure mainly included two types which is selection statement and looping statement. In selection statement, the examples are included if statement, if else statement and switch statement. And looping statement includes the examples are for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Finally, the fourth feature is a block. A block is a group of a statement enclosed within a curly brackets. Block helps organize multiple statements together as a single unit. Now, I will move to the second point, which is comparison between C and Python based on data security and code reusability. First of all, data security means protecting the data from unauthorized access, and code reusability means using the same code again in different programs. Let's see the data security in C, then Python. In C, data security is limited because C is a procedure language. It mainly uses static variables and file scope to control access, while in Python, data security is better because Python supports object-oriented features. It also uses module to organize and control access to code. Now, let's see the code reusability in C and Python. In C, code can be reused using functions and header file, but overall reusability in C is limited, while in Python, code reusability is higher. So, Python makes code reuse easy and more efficient. This is from my side. Now, I hand over my teammate to continue the next topic.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to present my topic on Python and student management system. This is a presentation. I will explain how Python supports multiple paradigms and also show a demo project of a student management system that demonstrate modular design, data handling, and function library. Firstly, I will explain how Python supports multiple programming paradigms. How Python supports multiple paradigms. Python is a multi-paradigms language, means it supports multiple programming style types of paradigms, procedural programming, object-oriented programming, functional programming, and scripting. Procedural programming is the program is written step by step using functions. Object-oriented programming use classes and object to organize data. Functional programming use a function like lambda, map, filter, and scripting is used for automation and small script. Next topic is demo student management system. Student management system stored and manage student information such as roll number, names, and marks. Modular design. The program is divided into small functions. Example is get data, input student details, and show data, display student details. Make the program easy to understand and maintain. Data handling. Student data is stored in class. Private variable like a role protect the data. Data can accessed only through function library. Python's use built-in function and libraries. Example input to take input and print to display output. Next, now I explain the program in C. First, the include stdio is functional library used for the input output like a printf and scanf. Structure student in the structure creations, struct student is created to store student data, roll number, and void show int r is a modular design. The program use a struct function show to display the roll number. Data storage in is a int main is the main function of this program, and structure student s create a variable to store the student information, and input scanf takes the roll number from the user. As show yes dot rolls send the roll number to the function and print it. Now run the program. Enter the roll number is 44. Let's see the output roll number is 44. This is from my side. Thank you everyone for your time and participate in this CodeCraft 2026 programming paradigms and practice session. We hope this presentation help you understand modern programming practice and their real world applications. Now I would like to respectfully hand over this session to our respected director sir to share this valuable guidance and suggestion that will help us improve and conduct even better suggestion in the future.
Hey, thanks Team Axiom. You did fabulous job to explain the programming paradigms using C and Python, as well as practically how you can add the debugging techniques, how you can write the code functions, arrays, and all the though the entire programming uh, was related to the basics of structure-oriented programming. But as I discussed, this is just a approach by which you can explore various programming practice techniques and convert that conceptualization into the practicality. We'll come up with the various new and challenging topics in these live streams. We'll see you soon in the next live stream with the coming with the various other challenging topics. Do join us, and together we can explore the best in the industry. Thank you.